Hello YouTube, what's going on? It's season 3, week 4, and today we're gonna take a look at this week's trials. As always, I want to be respectful of your time, so I will put timestamps down in the description below so you can jump to any specific part of the video that interests you the most. I will do all my trials solo. You can find me doing this on twitch.tv/vanep. Link is down in the description below. The trials of this week are damage ground-based arc enemies, destroy ticks, fireballs and pops, disarm mines during locked gate, harvest plants, and finally search containers in the medical research wing. We're gonna go through each trial, the max score, and the strategies I'll be doing as a solo player and the strategies you can run as a group if you play with your buddies. Before we start though, I would like to ask you for a small little favor, if you wouldn't mind. I will provide all the informations that I have, no gatekeeping, no paywalls, no members only nonsense, nothing like that. The only thing I would like to kindly ask you as a favor in return, if you wouldn't mind, is to like and subscribe the video and maybe share it with a friend if you're doing trials. It would help me with the YouTube algorithm a lot. Thank you very much. Now let's get going. The first trial of this week is damage ground-based arc enemies. We've had this trial a couple of weeks ago and the strategy hasn't changed since then. You want to do this on Spaceport, either on Electromagnetic Storm or on Night. Electromagnetic Storm is not in rotation right now, therefore we're gonna play it on Spaceport at night. Spaceport has the most ground arc of any other map, which will therefore give it the most points. As a solo player, you will have to bring a couple more zip lines than in group play, just because in group play you can split up, whilst in solo you have to like kind of rotate the map a lot. Therefore the loadout is going to be a little bit different, but that's what we're gonna take a look at later on. The max score for this trial, as far as I've seen right now, is around 84,000. Okay, so for this trial, as we established, we want to go to Spaceport. There is a kind of easy rule to remember. The bigger the arc, the more points it gets. Right, which means you get the most points from bombardiers and bastions. After that, leapers, and then just the normal arc and sentinel. Oh yeah, don't forget sentinels and turrets. Those count as ground-based arc as well. And then like pops and fireballs and stuff like that. So therefore, this is exactly what we're trying to focus on. We're trying to focus on bombardiers and bastions. So first things first, let's talk about where they spawn, right? These bombardiers and bastions, you can forget, those only spawn on the hidden bunker event. Since we're playing on night, those won't spawn. So we're focusing mainly on the rest of them. If we're taking a look at the strategy as a solo player, I would bring probably around 15 zip lines to cycle the bombardiers as fast as possible, so you can traverse from the north side of the map to like the southern side of the map to kill the bombardiers. Once the bombardiers are down, your next objective is going to be the bastions, and when the bastions are down, you can focus on the leapers. If everything is dead and you have nothing to do, then you can go for turrets, which I've not highlighted in that map because it would be a mess otherwise if I highlight everything. So after the leapers are dead as well, you want to focus on turrets and sentinels. And then from there, just fireballs and pops. You can find the small arc in basically every building on the map. A big arc like bombardiers and bastions usually have a respawn timer of around 5 to 7 minutes, something like that. More like 7 minutes. So keep that in mind. Track the timers when you killed the bastions and try to be there in time. Now, how do we kill them? We bring a bunch of wolf packs. I would probably say at least 20 if you can, give or less. Bring a hole cracker, enough ammo, and besides the zips, you will probably also need a stack or two of heals. And maybe I would maybe get a cloak as well, just to get rid of rocketeers if they happen to aggro. But that's what I'm gonna be doing as a solo player. If you're taking a look at group play, I would do a 3-way split. I would place one player on the north side and one player on the western side and one player on the southern side of the map. Each player takes care of the respective bombardier and bastion spawns, also of the leapers in those general areas, right? So you don't have to travel that much. Keep in mind that this bombardier right here spawns in the last probably around 10 minutes of the game. So if the southern player has a downtime at the 9 to 10 minute mark, I would check for that bombardier. And this should give you the highest score possible. Once again, if you have downtimes, if you've killed everything, especially in group play, Go into the buildings, clear a small arc as well. Those points, even though they are very small, add up on the duration of the entire match. The second trial of this week is destroy ticks, fireballs, and pops. The highest score that I've seen is 171,000. You have a couple of options how you can approach this, depending on whether you play as a solo or in a group. If you want to go for the absolute maximum amount of score, you have to play this on Stellar Montes at night. Alternative that is coming up right now and is being played by more and more players is Blue Gate on the Locked Gate event. You have to bring the 4 keys in to open the gates as fast as possible and then clear the tunnels as we did like last week or 2 weeks ago. As for the loadout, you want to bring an anvil or a boletta and maybe a hole cracker to kill all of the arc, and of course a lot of ziplines. Depending on what map you play, you need more or less ziplines. I think we're gonna talk only about Stellar Montes. If you wanna do this on the Locked Gate, just check out the previous video. I'll link it like up there. Just click there and you'll see it. If you decide to run this trial as a solo player, you will probably have to make a decision which side of the map you're playing on. I would highly suggest cycling the Seed Vault as often as you can, because it has a very low respawn time and gives an insane amount of points. So you will be probably traveling from Seed Vault to Archives, from Archives through Archives to Business Center. Me personally, I would go from Business to Communications to check for the ticks, and then from there to Lobby, check the opposite side of Lobby. From there, go down to Lobby Metro. This is what you can do for the first couple of minutes, and then I would try and do a rotation from the lower side of Lobby. I would go either to Loading Bay and from Loading Bay back to Seed Vault, or I would go through the tunnels back to Seed Vault, depending on how much time you need it to clear all that. If you're doing this and you other people are farming as well, or you realize that you're having downtime, you can also go through assembly to medical. Don't forget the picks on the viewing deck, and from there, just as I think last week or 2 weeks ago, go back through Loading Bay and then back to Seed Vault. Keep in mind you want to hit the Seed Vault around every 3 to 4 minutes, something like that, to get the highest points. Therefore, you will need probably 2 stacks of zip lines at least. Me personally, I would put a zip line through the atrium. I would also put a zip line, depending on the route, I would probably also put a zip line for you when you come out of communications to the top floor of Security Bridge to check for the ticks, and then from there down to Lobby Metro. Those are 3 zips already used, and then from there, depending on your route, either on Sandbox to the upper floor to clear the upper floor of Sandbox as well, or through the corridor to get Assembly and Medical as well. If you go through Assembly and Medical, then you will obviously need at least 1 more zipline to get from Medical back over to Sandbox to go to Seed Vault. If you're playing in a group and you want to do this on a 3-way split, I would suggest the following probably. You can change this up depending on your liking, right? Me personally, I would suggest 1 player to do Seed Vault, Archives, and Business Center, 1 player to do Lobby and Lobby Metro, Communications and Atrium, and the 3rd player to do Assembly, Medical Research, and Loading Bay and Sandbox. So this is how I would do it. You can split however you want. Just make sure to have every area covered, since you have basically 6 fireballs or pops in almost every area of the map. The 3rd trial of this week is Disarm Mines during Locked Gate. As the name already states, we have to play this on Locked Gate during the Locked Gate event, and the highest score I have seen so far is 28,500. This trial is a little bit tricky to do solo, just because of the amount of people that are doing it, and the mines are spread in 4 different places, and therefore achieving the max score is basically impossible solo. If you play this in a group, you can split it up. Everyone goes to a different location and you can disarm mines. You disarm the mines by simply stepping on them and then looking down at them and pressing E, or like whatever the button is for you, to disarm them. If you run over them, they will explode. You just have to run on top of them and stand there, and then you can disarm them. For this trial, I will use the Metaforge website, because the mines are not displayed on the Arc Raiders maps.app. As I said, if you're doing this on your own as a solo, it will be kind of hard to get all the points, just because the areas are so spread out and it takes quite a while to disarm every mine. If you're trying to do this solo, I would just simply focus on the area that is closest to your spawn. Like for example, if you spawn here, just go to Pilgrim's Peak and disarm those mines first. From there, you just clear area after area. You gotta listen very carefully because there is a beeping sound once you're close to the mine. It's kind of hard to hear, but it is there and you can hear those mines. Now, obviously, if you're doing this as a team, you just have to split up as soon as possible. Make sure to be in friendly lobbies and then split up as soon as you spawn. Each player goes to a different POI and start disarming the mines as fast as possible because you will have other players trying to do the trial as well. So therefore, I would suggest one player to go to Pilgrim's Peak, one player to go to the Ancient Fort, and one player to do either Raiders Refuge or Reinforced Reception. I would probably focus on the Reception first and then go to Raiders Refuge, just because Reception has the higher traffic, and therefore the mines might blow up quicker or might be disarmed earlier. The fourth trial of this week is Harvest Plants. The highest score I've seen so far is 67,500. This trial has been changed a lot. The amount of points you get varies, and also they added like the candleberries now, so you can run the cold snap event, which actually seems to provide the highest score possible. This is where it kind of splits up. If you want to go for a high score solo, I would suggest doing it on Buried City. That seems to be the best play right now. High scores are also achievable on Dam Cold Snap and Spaceport Cold Snap, and I think from what I've seen so far that Spaceport Cold Snap gives you the highest possible score, but also it's the largest map where you have to do a lot of running, and therefore it's probably better for trios or group play in general. For this trial, you want to bring a lot of heals and maybe a couple of Trailblazer grenades and a couple of fireball burners. Just throw them on the ground, slightly run through the fire. Don't stay in the fire, just slightly run through the fire, and you will reset your cold timer. You will need less healing that way. Okay, for harvesting plants, I would split up, right? Depending on whether you're gonna do it solo or as a group, I would go onto a different map. As a solo, I would probably go to Buried City just because it's a little bit less running and it's more dense and it's easier to do as a solo player, therefore. But first, let's take a look on what does even count towards the score. For now, we have mullein, we have agave, moss, and candleberries. It's gonna get a little bit clustered on the map, but bear with me, we're just gonna talk about a couple things right here. If you're doing this solo, the first thing you wanna do is loot the Galleria first. Why? Because a lot of mullein is spawning there, and a lot of players know that, and therefore go for the Galleria first. If you manage to get there first, and you manage to loot the Galleria, go to Merano Park and loot that. If you didn't get the Galleria because it was already looted, just reset your raid and try again. You really want the Galleria first and everything else afterwards. As I said, from there I would go to Merano Park, and then from there just basically circle the map and loot everything else. Now, if you're doing this as a group, you could also try this solo, but it's gonna be very hard solo. You want to go to Spaceport. It's either Spaceport or Dam. I think the community is still kind of divided and not sure which gives the most amount of points. But once again, we have Great Mullein, we have moss that counts, we have mushrooms, and we have candleberries. Now, good luck. No, I'm just kidding. There are a couple of spots that you want to hit first, okay? And the spots that I would hit first is the entire trench, especially with the south side, because you have a lot of mullein and mushrooms in there. The next spot I would hit rather sooner than later is underneath the launch towers and the departure building. Why? Because those are the general areas that have very high traffic, and whether the people do their trials or not, they're gonna be there at some point in time. Therefore, you're running into the danger that the place is gonna be looted. So I would focus on those first and then just split up the map accordingly. I would probably say one player does the northern side, then one does the southwestern side, and one the southeastern side. This is how I would split up just in general. You can go into more details if you want. I always like to have a general strategy and a general way to split up before we enter the match. The last trial of this week is search containers in the medical research wing. Once again, just as the last time we had this trial, you have to do this on Stellar Montes. Obviously, the highest score I've seen so far is 19,296. To reach the highest score possible, you will need the Stellar Montes medical storage key for this. I would suggest to bring the key in your safe pocket, run the place down, loot everything you can, and then once you've looted everything and you see that the score is around 14,000 points or 15,000 points, then you can go on and unlock the room if it's not unlocked yet. And for the last trial, we have to do the medical research. Therefore, we have to go to Stellar Montes. I would highly suggest doing this as a solo player, because the solo lobbies tend to be way friendlier than the trio lobbies. In trios, you always have the danger of one random group going rogue and killing everybody else, so you can completely avoid that by doing this solo. There are a couple of things, as I said, that you want to keep in mind. First of all, the viewing deck counts as well, even though it might not be considered part of the medical research. It is. It counts. Don't forget to loot it. There is loot in there. Don't forget the dark corridors. They have loot as well. What I usually end up doing is I come in from assembly, loot the corridor, loot this entire corridor up here, and then the room up here. From there, I go through the corridor to the next room and loot the room here. Don't forget the corridor in the middle as well, and the corridor behind the room. Afterwards, I go over the bridge, loot this room, go up the stairs. Right here on those stairs, you can go up, and there's sometimes one med bag up there that you can loot. Drop down, loot the two rooms here, loot the viewing deck, and then from there, I usually go outside and loot the entire big general room. Right? You shouldn't have too much arc there. Usually everything is dead because there are so many players doing this. You want to loot the general area as well. And also don't forget about this corridor. That's the corridor where you spawn in sometimes, and that has an ammo crate up here. From there, you wanna loot this room, loot the server racks. Don't forget the weapons case and the grenade case on top of the server racks. Loot the check for the electro boxes on the walls. And then, as I said, once you've done that and you've looted everything and your score is around 14 to 15,000 and the medical room is still closed, then go ahead and unlock the room, which will reward you with not only a lot of loot, but also a lot of points. As always, if this video was helpful, I would appreciate if you would remember to like and subscribe and maybe share the video with a friend. Hit me up in the comments down below and tell me which trial is the hardest for you this week and which trial you're struggling the most with. I will then go on and upload a video of this trial and how I did it solo. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for supporting me. I wish you good luck with your trials, and I'll see you topside raiders. Peace!